Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum viewers. Welcome to another edition of Defense and Diplomacy. The ubiquitous drone attacks continue to wreak havoc on the miscreants in the FATA area as well as the tribal region. The United States considers it a cost-effective means of attacking and targeting the terrorists. There has been a lot of debate about the efficacy of this, but to discuss that, we are honored to have in our studio today two very eminent panelists. We have with us Lieutenant General Talat Masood, who is a very well-known analyst. Welcome, sir. And we have with us a strategic analyst advocate, Tariq Pirzada.
Thank you.
So let's start with you. What is the efficacy of this particular weapon system, and why is the United States persisting with it, sir?
First, when you have a policy that you don't want to engage a country with your boots on, and you want to sort of also target an enemy which you consider as an enemy. So I think the most convenient, mode of doing that is now the drones. And so drones has become a major weapon system for the United States because it thinks that those countries which have lost control over their territory, and there are sanctuaries in that country from where they are launching attacks on either their forces or their allies, like ISAF or the Afghan government. Then in a situation like what we have in Pakistan, then obviously they use these drones. They are using them in other countries as well, but not to the extent that they are using it in Pakistan. Of course, it has a certain tactical advantage, but it's limited in comparison to the very negative political fallout and its other consequences.
Talking about the negative political fallout, Advocate Tariq Pirzada, what are the political consequences of the use of this weapon system?
Internationally speaking, the weapon system, this weapon system is marginalizing Pakistan as a sovereign state in the eyes of the world community. The world knows us that we are a nuclear weapon state, but they now are beginning to realize that we are the only nuclear state that is under attack, and that for some reason that may not be known to me, that these drones continue, and the country is not being fully responsive to the needs of the sovereign status of Pakistan.
No, but what is the legal status? Is the use of drones in a country with which the United States is not at war, are they legal?
Well, as far as the international law is concerned, that is not anymore any concern of the United States. They have been violating international law for the last several years, and it has become their policy that what matters is the interest of the United States and not the international law. Yes, when it comes to Syria and other countries, they would always bring in international law. But over there, in the case of Syria, there are two other parties which are not letting them play a direct role, that is China and Russia. Here in the case of Pakistan, because the issue of Taliban is so complex that somehow even these two countries that I mentioned, they also want is resolution of the issue of terror along Pak-Afghan border. And we all agree on that. But when you do it in a manner that on the one hand violates the sovereignty of a country and on the other hand violates the international law, and as you know, let me finish this thing quickly, the United Nations has approached the United States on this issue. They have asked for the explanation as to the precision with which they are targeting that, how they are determining the targets and how they are approaching the whole issue, because on the face of it, as the United Nations information says, the issue is involving serious violation of international law.
Right. Now you see, General Talat Masood, the advocate mentioned the United Nations. In fact, in June, there was a 4-day visit of Niva Pillay, the United Nations High Commissioner on Human Rights, And Niva Pillay made a statement which was carried by BBC, CNN, and everyone else, that she expressed her concern about the collateral damage. And now only 2 days back, Ben Emerson, the UN rapporteur on human rights, has made a statement that the United States must submit the videos of these drone attacks so that they can be verified and inquiry can be made regarding the collateral damage. Your opinion, sir?
Well, that's very good in the sense that a certain pressure is being built. But the point is, as has been said very correctly by my fellow panelists, that I don't think America would cooperate with them, because America believes in exceptionalism, and it will also think that it will compromise its security, in the sense that they do not want the United Nations or any other party to look at the sort of videos and so on. I would also like to add here that as far as the collateral damage is concerned, clearly there is collateral damage, but as far as the precision of the drones is concerned, they are precise. That is different, that in spite of that there is collateral damage. The reason being that most of these militants live with their families, and they are not living independent. In fact, they want to live with the families in order to protect themselves. So I think the Americans perhaps do take that into consideration, but despite that, it's simply impossible, and the collateral damage. But
sometimes
sometimes the intelligence is also faulty.
It's so faulty to the extent that in 2006 October, if you recall, there was an attack on a madrasa in which 83 children, and most of them under the age of 15, were targeted and killed.
Absolutely, absolutely. So that is true, but that is a failure of intelligence, not of the drones.
Right. Now, you see, Advocate Tariq Pirzada, we must look at the legal aspect from another point of view. As of 2010, the United States has changed the definition of the term militant, especially in reference of the drone attacks. It says that every able-bodied person is to be considered a militant unless it proves otherwise. How do you look at that from a jurist point of view?
Well, absolutely. I mean, it's just like legislating a law for the whole world, enforcing it through your own guns, not worrying about the laws made by the United Nations or other international bodies. And because most of these trouble spots created by the United States, as I call them, are located in the Muslim community, in the Muslim world, basically. They're not in China, they're not even in North Korea. That's the biggest trouble spot as they see it, but they would never go in. So because the defensive capabilities of these countries are very weak, the political systems are not strong, and the leaderships are not responding to the to the will of the people. Be it Yemen, be it Sudan, be it any other country. So the result is the United States goes on violating international law with impunity, and the result is that countries like Pakistan that have a certain status, even they are being looked at as a non-entity, and which is a major loss to Pakistan, because if Pakistan cannot defend its legal international status as a sovereign state, if it cannot defend itself geographically, if it cannot defend itself strategically, then after 10 years and up until 2024, because that's the time, up until then we are told the US bases will be staying in Afghanistan, Pakistan will remain under a Damocles sword. Somebody has to realize that yes, the time has come to take a stand. One thing about the Al-Qaeda, according to Mr. Leon Panetta, who's the defense secretary at the present time, and he said this thing, which I'm going to quote, about a year and a half ago, there are about 20 Al-Qaeda members left in the area.
At that time, he was the director of the CIA.
Director of CIA. Since then, we have had more than 100 drone attacks, or close to 100 drone attacks. If these people are not dead, then where is the precision?
In fact,
where is the precision factor?
If you take a look at the to supplement your point, let me show you a summary of the attacks that have been carried out to date 311 attacks have taken place, and something like 2,887 casualties have occurred. Now, if you look at the chart over there on the which is being displayed on the screen right now, you see that there has been a major acceleration from the time President Obama took over, that is 2008, because the first attack took place in 2004, and there was only one attack at that time. But coming to 2010, maximum attacks have taken place. In fact, 2010 is being considered, has been labeled as the year of the drone. And this year alone, something like 38 attacks have taken place, and this year is not over by any means.
Not at all. And actually, the other day, General Kiani was in, in South Waziristan while the attacks were taking place in North Waziristan. No respect at all, either for the armed forces of Pakistan or for the country itself. And the issue is, if Al-Qaeda is not there, they are after the what they consider to be militant Talibans, because there are two kinds of Talibans according to US definition, though there are ones whom they are in negotiation with. And the other day we had a statement by Mullah Umar, which remains uncontroverted so far, that we are in dialogue with the United States, but we have not given up our stance. So there is a dichotomy according to the US, United States. I'm not making that dichotomy, that yes, there are bad Taliban, will destroy them, and this is exactly the policy that they followed in Vietnam. They continued during the 10th offensive.
But I'm sorry, there's a corollary to that statement, that there's no such thing as a good Taliban or a bad Taliban. The only good Taliban is a dead Taliban. am I right, sir?
Yeah, that's true.
So what's your opinion, sir?
Well, I think there are two or three things that I'd like to add. One is, of course, that, there is a thing called Al-Qaeda affiliates, as they call them, in the sense that, the Haqqani group and others, or Mullah, forgetting his name. No, the other one of North Waziristan.
Baitullah Masood?
No.
Tariq
Anyway,
Taliban Pakistan.
TTP, I'm not talking about TTP. Also, they are targeting, but the ones which are the affiliates. Gul Bahadur, sorry.
Gul Bahadur.
Gul Bahadur. That's right.
So, these they consider to be very inimical to the US, and they have been launching attacks repeatedly and using this as their base. So, from that point of view, they are and they say that Pakistan has not been able to control its territory. So, they say that we are not really violating your sovereignty. I'm just putting across their viewpoint so that people understand how they are trying to sort of justify their drone attack. They say, well, in any case, Pakistan does not have control over its territory. In fact, we are helping Pakistan to restore its territory by weakening them. And because they do not have these type of precision weapons, we are using them. We have got the satellites, and we sort of look at the picture much better, and it's always live, so we can target them very accurately and also get them. So I think this is the line of argument that they are taking. As far as your other question was concerned, what was it that you wanted me to?
I wanted your opinion about good Taliban and bad Taliban.
Right. As far as the good and bad Taliban are concerned, I think we have also come to the conclusion that there is no such thing as a good Taliban and a bad Taliban, although that has realization has come after years.
But better late than never.
Because after all, when you come to think of it, look at the way that the nexus has developed, and look at the way that the sanctuaries have developed on both sides, in which the other Taliban, whichever country you are looking at, is supporting the Taliban from the other country, in the sense that Pakistani Taliban are finding sanctuary in the areas which are controlled by the Afghan Taliban, and the Afghan Taliban are finding sanctuaries in place where Pakistani Taliban are in control. So you in fact have a situation where there is a strategic depth that has been created by the militants instead of the countries themselves.
And thus the
I think we also have to understand this. You see, it's very correct, the position the government is taking, that under no circumstances the drones, etc., must, but at the same time, I think we must also develop this narrative so that we get the support of the people, that these people, the militants, the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan have also violated our sovereignty, challenging the state. They are weakening the state not only in those territories, but also using those territories to weaken the state throughout Pakistan. So I think this is something which we should not miss.
Advocate, you wanted to add something before I come to another point?
Yeah, quickly. The issue is this, that the United States is finding under the aegis of this war against terror a way to exercise unhindered control into Pakistani territory and over the political future and the strategic future of this country. The reason is, say tomorrow the Taliban issues comes to an end, but the precedent is being established at the present time in a way to intervene into Pakistan from all sides and from all angles, that come tomorrow when there is a different situation in which the United States has an interest, they will definitely use this occasion as a precedent to re-intervene. Then they are setting an example for India and other countries to intervene as and when it suits them, because the fragility, the message of the fragility of Pakistan and the lack of response to these actions is going out throughout the international community, that yes, we can get away with Pakistan. One quick thing, the issue is this, the United States has given other weapon systems to Pakistan also. Those are not made of some precious metal that they cannot be bought by Pakistan or they cannot be loaned to Pakistan. The United States is deliberately avoiding this thing. And there is one message also from Washington, and they have to contradict, I cannot, that there are certain elements in the country that keep encouraging Washington that we need the US to stay in Afghanistan and guard us a little longer. And this is very worrisome at the same time.
Right, sir, but you see, it negates what you said earlier, and I tend to agree with you a little more, that the use of drones is supposed to preclude the boots on the ground, to which Pakistan has very vehemently opposed and made it very clear to the United States that they don't want that.
Absolutely. So I think we have to understand that. You see, if Pakistan and America had that level of confidence and were sharing intelligence, then it could have been a joint operation, and this whole problem would not have arisen. The problem is that there is a lack of confidence. That is why they are unable to share. So I think if things move forward in our relationship, it is quite possible that the drone problem can be solved in this way. Secondly, I would like to add here that whereas we have been asking about drones and the Americans have been refusing it, there are two reasons why they are refusing. We have to also understand why they are refusing it. One is, of course, it's a very cutting edge technology. It's a very high-end technology. They will not like to part with that. At the same time, it's not just the question of the drone machine itself, which I mean the plane. It's really a huge complex system. It's a huge system that operates in the sense that people are sitting at Nevada, they have the ground stations, they have the satellites, they are monitoring it 24 hours, and then it's an extremely expensive, highly technologically advanced system. So unless we become a part of that, and we are also allowed to, stay in the ground stations and all, it's not possible.
Right. But Advocate Tariq Pirzada, before you comment, maybe you would like to answer this also. I just
want to add a little bit something. There are a lot of weapon systems, as I said, that have been given to Pakistan. We have from other countries also. Yes, it's a complex system, and General Saab is so right. And I have a great respect for all the things that he says, and I'm one of the fans of General Saab. But the issue is this over here. If you are commanding from Nevada the system, which is fine, we are talking about them being flown, being controlled locally by us, through us. That's all we are talking about. Do it the way you do it locally over here. They don't fly out of Nevada. They fly out of this area. This is the control we are talking about. So we can say that we are exercising control. We are targeting, and to some degree, some confidence will be built in our action in the eyes of our own people. That's what we are talking about.
I agree with him. But you see, this is exactly what I'm saying, that if the level of confidence between the CIA and ISI or the militaries of the two countries increases to that level, there is no reason why this should not be possible. But at the moment...
So the DG ISI, Lieutenant General Zahirul Islam, recently visited, and he had very prolonged meetings with his CIA counterpart, General Petraeus. And one of the proposals was exactly what you're saying, that give us the use or make it a joint user thing and let us share intelligence. In fact, he went to the extent of saying that we can also use our other platforms like the F-16s, other things, but you give us the information and you can monitor that we are targeting the exact targets.
What really amazes us is that whereas there is, we know that there is not sufficient confidence to share this, but what surprises a common person in Pakistan and should also surprise a common person in US is that we have a common enemy which is controlling our territory and weakening the state. They also have an enemy which is trying to launch attacks on them and is not allowing Afghanistan to be stable. So I think we have, that is different that at one time, and still we have different priorities as far as targeting is concerned, because that means that you have limited resources, and those resources have to be, after all, used in such a way that the ones who are hurting you most have to be targeted first. So, but that compromise can always be found, when you have
but this is where the issue is, that it is...
Your final comments, sir, because we're running out of time.
Sovereign Pakistan must be allowed to take care of the issue of terrorism. I think Pakistan Air Force is already doing it, and doing it very effectively on an almost daily basis. We know that it is not a secret, it is in the papers. Since we are doing that part of the job, we can do the extended part of the job also. But the issue is, I doubt it very much, the United States is dealing with us on a single issue basis, which is an issue specific, making it an issue specific relationship, and that is the issue of terrorism. They don't want to... India is the strategic partner. The larger relationship has to be built with them. It will never be built with Pakistan. This is the reality of today's international scenario.
Right. Viewers, with that we come to the end of this discussion, and both our eminent panelists are of the opinion that the United States and Pakistan are fighting a common enemy. And in order to fight it effectively and to defeat it, we need to reduce the trust deficit that is prevailing between the two countries so that we can target them and eliminate terrorism from this territory and this region. Now, you see, the United States, if you see its own constitution, if you see the Geneva rights rules, and if you see the inscription on the Statue of Liberty, it says, "Give me your huddled masses, your poor." And if the United States is trying to make more people homeless, then it is unfair. Therefore, the important thing is that the collateral damage has to be reduced, the exact enemy has to be targeted, and terrorism has to be defeated and eradicated from this planet. Only then peace will prevail in the region. I would like to thank you, General Talat Masood. I would like to thank you, Advocate Tariq Pirzada. And viewers, keep sending us your comments and look forward to hearing them from you. And see you next week, inshallah. Allah Hafiz.